Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to speak to you about my six favorite ETFs that I'm currently invested in Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to share with you um, the way that you can be able to invest so that you are not affected during a market crash. So what are these ETFs that I'm speaking about? So the first one is the Ishares Electric Vehicles ETF. So this is an ETF of several car companies that are doing electric cars, currently around 20 or so. Then there's the Ishares Global Clean Energy ETF, which includes several companies that are currently involved in energy, clean energy, wind, solar, and other renewable technologies, storage, and other exciting things. And the other one is the Vanguard FTSE All World High Dividend Distributing ETF. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the one that pays you dividends every 4 months, so quarterly. Then the other one is the ExtracusMSCC Asia excluding Japan ETF. So that one is specifically for Asia and excluding Japan. Then the other one is the MSCI Africa Top 50 Swap ETF. This is for top 50 African companies that are performing and are doing well. Then the last one is the ExtracusMSCC All World Information Technology ETF. So this one is one of the biggest ETFs with the biggest collection of shares from several companies. So the first one, majorly in the US, from Microsoft to Alphabet to many other companies. So up to more than 100 companies with different percentages, but mostly located in the USA. So why? Let us go straight on each individual ETF so that we can be able to see why you should be investing in this ETF if you are in Europe and you desire to have a portfolio, that is performing, that is growing, that is paying some dividends, and that is stable during an economic crash. As you can see up here, I'm on a positive while the market is running on a negative. So let us go straight on why you should have this. So the first one is the ExtracusMSCC Asia excluding Japan swap. The beauty about this ETF is it has been growing exponentially, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, it has been one of the most growing ETFs if you bought in March. It has grown significantly higher. It is having a lot of excitement in the market and a high amount of demand in the market, ladies and gentlemen. So it is growing very fast. So if you bought this ETF in March 2020, it has grown. And even though we are having some market tension and losses, it is still not growing downwards as much as you would think. So ladies and gentlemen, this is one ETF that you should be looking at, chiefly because there has been a lot of growth in Asia, excluding Japan. There has been a lot of growth, and economies in Asia are growing significantly higher. In fact, the economies in Asia are growing faster than the economies of the Americas and Europe combined. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one ETF that you should be having, especially for the medium short term. So the next 10 years, you should be having this ETF. So the other ETF that we are going to look at is the iShares Electric Vehicles Technology ETF. So this one has several companies that are producing electric cars. Why should you have this investment? Ladies and gentlemen, the car space, especially the electric car space, is one that should not be ignored. It's one that is growing exponentially. In fact, in Europe, there are countries that are already having higher sales of electric cars compared to the conventional cars. So people are buying more electric cars than the old technology diesel petrol cars. Already that is happening. Already there are policies by certain governments that are going to limit the sale and even tax significantly any sales of vehicles that are not electric. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a space that you should be looking at. And because people have been saying that electric cars cannot be cheap, in fact, I want to excite you and tell you there is already a $3,000 car, new car that is produced by a company in China that is for the mass market. So electric cars are as cheap as $3,000 now and as expensive as you want them to become. Then the range has significantly increased. So you not only have to worry about range anxiety and cost. And also the other thing that you should keep in mind is that the electric charging infrastructure has been growing significantly. Ladies and gentlemen, even Africa is not left behind. There are significantly higher growth in the charging infrastructure. In fact, for example, in my country, Kenya, already a company is in existence that helps people swap from conventional engine cars to electric cars. So you can be able to convert your car to electric. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of excitement and impetus. And because also it is a low-cost ETF at only €6.72. It is one ETF that many people can actually buy. So ladies and gentlemen, buy and hold. Buy and hold. Because this growth will continuously grow significantly as vehicles that are electric become more mainstream. So don't be left behind. Again, look at how it is performing in a market crash. Even though it has ups and downs, it is not crashing significantly. So buy. Ladies and gentlemen, it is one ETF that I have that is continuously that I continuously enjoy. Again, look at the volumes that are always traded. They are always higher and higher volumes, and you can be able to sell and buy easily, especially if you are in Europe. Then the other ETF that should excite you is the Vanguard FTSE, All World High Dividend Yield ETF. Why should it excite you? Ladies and gentlemen, look at the graph. It has been stable. In fact, it is one ETF that is stabilizing my portfolio in the times of a crash. In fact, if you look down here, the current crash, it is not going as low as you would think. And the funny thing is people buy in significantly when there's a market crash. So people are buying and holding. This ETF has been able to generate for me in the last 6 months 6% return and a return also on the dividends that I receive. So coming to around 12%. It is one ETF that if you do not hold any other ETFs, hold these ETFs for stability and for the continuous generation of dividends, because you are paid dividends every 4 months. So if you're the kind of person who wants to receive dividends and have an ETF that is stable, buy this. This ETF includes companies that are well established, especially in the manufacturing of food, so food processing, things like Coca-Cola and the household companies that produce soaps and things like that. So stable companies that have been in existence for a long time. So the chances of this ETF's value going down significantly are close to nil. Again, you are able to get a dividend yield that has been growing, especially this year as we get out of the problematic year 2020. So this is one ETF that you should be having. I have my current allocation for this is around 30% because it is stable, it is distributing dividends, and it is stabilizing my portfolio. So ladies and gentlemen, consider having that ETF. Then the other ETF that you must be having. So the other ETF that you must be having is this XtrackusMSCC Africa Top 50 Swap. Ladies and gentlemen, do not ignore the African market. It is growing. In fact, the highest growth in economies around the world is in actually the top 20 growing. Majority of the countries in that are from Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, African countries are growing exponentially. Some are growing as fast as 10%. This is the kind of growth that you will definitely not find in Americas or in Europe. Perhaps in Asia, but Asia has been growing at a decreasing rate. So it is only in Africa where you're going to experience exponential growth in the next 20 years. Again, this ETF is low in value. So going to currently around €6.50, you can be sure that this ETF will continue to grow in value. Again, the top 50 companies in this ETF have been performing, have been profitable, and are making waves. So ensure that you have this ETF for long term, to be able to hold it for a long term. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one ETF that you must have. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, buy, hold, and have it with you. Ladies and gentlemen, then the other thing that you need to ensure that you have is the ExtracusMSCC World Information Technology ETF. The beauty about this ETF is that it swings up after a market crash. You can see the lowest price is 25 and the highest price has been 46. It is almost doubling. This is one ETF that if you buy when the market is low, it is going to grow by almost 100%. You can be sure after some period of time. So this is one ETF. If you need to buy an ETF that is low, that is cheap in a market crash, buy the ExtracusMSCC All World Information Technology ETF. It is growing and growing and growing. And ladies and gentlemen, we have seen, especially in the crash, that technology companies are actually profitable, even during the coronavirus crisis. So ladies and gentlemen, ensure that you have this ETF. My current allocation for this ETF is around 40%. Reason being that I was able to buy when it was cheap and it has been growing significantly. So ensure that you have this ETF. I continuously ensure that I buy some ETF as I go. So ensure that you have this ETF and allocate a significant amount. Again, the volumes that are traded on this ETF are significant. So there's always a lot of excitement around this ETF, this information technology ETF. I had mentioned something about it earlier, and you can be able to see about it. The others have already mentioned about it. So these ETFs, you should be able to have these ETFs in your portfolio. Not only are they going to generate excitement in your portfolio, but they're going to hold stable even in an economic crash. So ladies and gentlemen, what are the allocations that you should consider with this ETF? Ensure that you at least have 30% of the all world high dividend yield ETF. If your desire is to be able to generate some dividends and be able to stabilize your portfolio, because as we have noted, this ETF holds value even in a crash, and actually people buy in more of this ETF even when the market is not doing well. So ensure that you have this ETF and at least allocate around 30%. Then the other one that you should have is the other allocation that you make is for the Xtrackers MSCC All World Information Technology. Ensure that you have, if you want to have some risk and some growth potential, and if you're able to time the market to buy in when the market is going down, then you should get the Xtrackers MSCC Information Technology and allocate around 40%. Then you can be able to get the Ishares Clean Energy, because indeed clean energy is the future. Then the electric vehicles technology ETFs, you can be able to allocate around 10% for the iShares electric vehicles and the iShares global clean energy. Again, these two act the same way, but because they are low cost ETFs, you could be able to allocate a higher amount and you could be able to invest even with a lower amount of money. Ladies and gentlemen, then the other thing that you should buy is the Xtrackers MSCIC Asia excluding Japan swap ETF. Ladies and gentlemen, get this ETF because it has been growing significantly and there's a lot of excitement and impetus and growth in the Asia subcontinent, ladies and gentlemen. Again, the other one that you should buy, so get around 5% of the ExtracusMSCC Africa Top 50, because indeed Africa is going to grow exponentially. In the next 20 years, these companies that are held by this ETF will grow significantly. Again, because there is less excitement about it, the shares are going to be undervalued. and the ETF is going to be undervalued because there's not much excitement around this ETF. So buy and hold for more than 20 years. So ensure that you get at least 10 to 5% of your portfolio on the ExtracusMSCC Africa Top 50. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that have been helpful to you. I hope that I am helping you glean and learn, and you are growing in your financial journey. So thank you and enjoy your day. Remember to subscribe to the channel, to leave a comment below, and to like this video, because indeed it is one of the ways that this message and this information can reach more people. Enjoy your